And welcome back to Pokemon Team Creation Series. Today's Pokemon Team Creation Series suggestion comes to us from JRC, who asked the question, what is the Pokemon team of, I got her name right here, Kinoko Komori, who is part of Class 1B in My Hero Academia. She is the girl with the mushroom quirk. She can grow mushrooms at alarming rates, multiple different types of fungi, mushrooms. That's what her quirk is. She needs a lot of humidity for it. Which is why she carries like little squirt guns to like just increase like the humidity around the area. And this led to a conundrum that I'll get to when I get to the 6th mon on the team. But let's just start out here. And honestly, when it comes to this, there are actually enough mushroom mon to fill up an entire team. This does, however, mean that you can kind of just make her starter mon whatever you want it to be. This is another reason why I don't like pigeonhole myself into guaranteeing to have a starter Pokemon like a Bulbasaur or Trico, Infernape, that kind of thing. I don't pigeonhole myself into that because there is no grass type that's a mushroom Pokemon. That's a starter Pokemon, at least not yet. So that's why I don't pigeonhole myself into that kind of scenario. But yeah, any mushroom can theoretically be her starter mon. I, however, decided to go with Shinotic, just because it's got a hat just like her, and it's a fairy type, and she's kind of like a little mushroom fairy the way she works. Also, though, her quirk's not a physical quirk. She's not a physical fighter. She's a support type hero. So I think it's actually very important because, spoiler alert, let's actually get to the 3rd mon on the team. There is a Breloom on this team, which is also a mushroom mon, but it's a fighting type. And I did not think that worked well to be her starter mon, as she herself is not a fighter. If she were more of a melee type individual, somehow using her mushrooms in combination with that, I'd be more willing to put Breloom as the number one, as the starter. But that's not the case. Her 2nd mon is the OG mushroom, Parasect. As you know, zombie mushrooms, spores, and fungus are also very much a thing. She had very much use this mushroom in conjunction with other, moves. There's also the Gen 5 Amoonguss, the fungus Amoonguss, if you will. I can see her using a spore effects. No, it's also got a nice little mushroom cap, so there you go. It's also important. I also felt it was important that I did not use this as a starter. It is, as it does have the highest level cap of any of them on here. When we talk about how well this team would do in any region, that is going to be a very big advantage this team actually has, is that with the exception of, say, Amoonguss, which evolves at level 39, all of them on here evolve in their 20s, save for, I believe, Toedscruel, who is obviously the convergent mushroom Tentacruel Pokemon. I believe Toedscruel is like low 30s, like 34, if I'm remembering correctly, but I'm double checking that right now. I want to say it's 34, something like that. I don't know why 34 is sticking out in my head, but that's the number that's sticking out in my head here. We'll find out that momentarily here. Okay, there they are. So Toedscruel evolves at level, come on, give it to me. Level 30. Okay, I knew it was 30, but it's level 30. So that's the 2nd highest. Everything else is like 24, 24 for Parasect and Paris, 23 for Breloom, and 24 again for Shinotic, and 39. So yeah, you get the first 3 mons on this team you can have pretty early on at their fully evolved levels, or fully evolved forms. So the last mon, there is another mushroom mon that I could have added to the team. But what I mentioned earlier, she uses these little squirt guns to increase the humidity to help the mushrooms and fungus grow. I did want a water Pokemon on the team that could represent that, because I feel like that is like a boon to her team. Unfortunately, like, no water Pokemon. That's not true. There are water Pokemon that I think fit the bill all right. In the grand scheme of things, though, I think I put Brute Bonnet on the team. I think, because when you look at Pokemon, like especially all these mushroom Pokemon, they don't have abilities that if water hits them, it helps, it like increases their speed or power or anything like that. None of them have that. If they at least one of these mushroom Pokemon had that kind of ability, then maybe I would be more inclined to include a water type who learned like Rain Dance on the team. That way you could get something out of it. Because they don't, I think, honestly, I think I'd rather go with Brute Bonnet and have it as her ace. This prehistoric fungi Pokemon that she maybe found and that was wandering, has somehow escaped Area Zero. And so, yeah, that's where I lean on that. So I decided to go Brute Bonnet. I do not argue anyone who would want to put at least a water type on the team, though. I don't. Now, that all being said, as you can see, there is a clear and very present problem with this team. This is the first team I can think of in its entirety, mind you, that has had not one, not two, but three weaknesses that affect the entire team. All 6 of these Mon are grass types. Now, they're all also dual types, which will kind of help it out, some of them out a bit, but they're all still weak to fire. They're all still weak to ice. They're all still weak to flying. Now, Toedscruel and Amoonguss are not immediately weak to poison. Ground resists poison, and Amoonguss itself is poison. So only 4 Mon on the team are affected by poison, which is okay, that's not as bad. Only 3 Mon on the team, surprisingly, are affected by bug. And that's the bottom 3 on the 3 on the bottom, Amoonguss. I believe it's Amoonguss, right? But yeah, so it's Parasect, it's Toedscruel, and it's Brute Bonnet. That's right. Amoonguss, Breloom, and Shiinotic are not affected by bug because I have fairy and poison resist bug, and fighting resist bug. Now, conversely, bug also resists fighting, but still, there you go. There's also a ×2 weakness to fairy when it's dealing with the dark type and the fighting type with Breloom and Brute Bonnet, and a ×2 weakness to psychic of all things when dealing with the poison type and the fighting type. So it's a very, very odd team. Now, the flip side of that coin, though, is you also still get all the advantages of grass types because they're all grass types with a ×6 strength against grass, ground, and rock, which means in the early gyms, you're going to be having a pretty easy time for most of the regions. You'll have ×3 strength against dark types on this team because you have a bug, a fairy, and a fighting type on this team. You have a ×2 strength against psychic types when it comes to, again, bug, but also dark type. And there's, weirdly enough, a ×2 strength against steel types because of Toedscruel and Breloom. Now, is Toedscruel even capable of learning any ground type moves on its own? That is actually a very good question that I didn't even consider until just this moment. So let me just see what its move pool ultimately is. Okay, it can learn Mud Slap. That's something. Mud Shot. Or Earth Power. Okay, it can learn some moves that can hurt ground types. It can. No, I mean, not a lot of moves. It also learns Hex, though, which is very interesting. That is a very interesting move because it can obviously do Spore attacks. It can do Stun Spore, Poison Powder, all that. So that means it does have a, not a counter, but a way to handle steel types by just putting them in a status effect, not poison, obviously, and then putting Hex on them. Most steel types do not have the best of special defense. So it's not bad at all for them. That being said, though, as always, how balanced is this team? Could this team become champion in any region? And I'm going to cut to the chase right now. No, it cannot. This team gets its teeth kicked in every single region. Now, it does fare better in some regions in parts of the game. For example, in Kanto, you have no issues going through the first half of the gyms, no problem. It's not until you get to Koga that you're going to have a struggle. 3 of your Mon are automatically going to be in trouble against the poison type. You've got some mud ground type moves with Toedscruel plus Hex. And you got Amoonguss, which actually is bulky and a poison type. And whatever damage you can dish out with the other 4. That being said, I think you still could get through Koga. It just would not be easy. Then you might as well just be stopped at Blaine at that point. Because there's no ground doesn't even. I used to think ground resisted fire. It's just strong against fire. So Toedscruel doesn't even have an immunity there, or even a resistance. Yeah, and none of these Mon except for Breloom a little bit are very fast, and Breloom's even not that fast. So yeah, I think you're kind of stopped at Blaine, just done. Now, hypothetically, if you won, and this is just a hypothetical, You could beat Giovanni, no problem. You actually wouldn't struggle that much with Lorelei, thanks to Breloom being able to learn Drain Punch and being a fighting type. Because half her team isn't even ice. She's got Jinx, Cloyster, Dugong, but then she's got Slowbro. I believe she has a Lapras, I think. So most of her team is, okay, I take that back. Most of her team is ice, but she's got a couple just straight water types as well. Bruno actually wouldn't be that big of an issue. You got a fairy type there that's strong, a fairy type to resist fighting. You've got a bug type that resists fighting. You'll take care of the Onyxes, no problem. I actually don't even think you'll have trouble with Agatha, thanks to having Brutbond on team, which has higher stats than anything on her team. And being dark type means it's going to handle the ghost parts of her team well, and you've got enough resistances to poison to handle those types relatively well. Lance, you're just stopped, period. You have except for Shinotic, you have nothing to deal with Dragon, and Shinotic is going to go down fast. It's going to go down fast. So, yeah, that being said, I don't think you even get past Blaine, because this team just completely is done at fire types. No joke, you don't even get past the first gym in Johto. Flying is strong against grass, and it would be it'll be a Morlull until it evolves level 24, which means you are not going to be able to handle a Pidgey or Pidgeotto with a level 13 to 14 or 15 Morlull. You're just not going to be able to do it. That's why you're supposed to catch other Mon on your team. Even if by some miracle you do, you then got to deal with Bugsy, who, even though your fairy does resist bug to a certain degree, doesn't mean you have the strength to take on Kakuna and Metapod, which have Harden, plus Poison Sting to deal with the fairy type of your Shinotic, and then Scyther, which, yeah, even if you take Fury Color out of the equation, it's still got much higher stats than anything you have. Whitney would also cleave through you, because you still wouldn't be able to have a Shroomish at that point. Like I say, I don't go very above the levels of the gym. I'll go like 2 levels above their ace. That's it. As kind of like a give them a chance kind of range. Because if you want to say, well, just grind, well, then what's the point of like doing this entire series? Because technically you could grind everything to level 100 and then you'd win. So yeah, honestly, you just can't get through Faulkner. You cannot get through Faulkner. It's not going to happen. So yeah, Johto's a no-go. Hoenn, you're actually good until Flannery. You should be able to handle Roxanne with not too much difficulty. Because it's both a fairy and a grass type, and a bug and a grass type with resistances, you should actually be able to handle Brawly okay. And by the time you get to Watson, you would have a fully evolved Breloom, which means it has probably Mach Punch and a fighting move under its belt, a fully evolved Parasect, and a fully evolved Shinotic. Parasect doesn't have the hugest stats, but it is bulky. It does have some defense to it. So those guys, no problem. Flannery. The minute you get to any fire gym in any region, you're already kind of shit out of luck, pretty much. Like, it's just not going to go well. Luckily, most of her fire types, though, are slow. Her Torkoal is slow, bulky, but slow. Her Slugma is slow. Numel is slow. Camerupt, when she has an Emerald, is slow. It's very unlikely you could get past Flannery, but I would not go to say it's impossible. Norman is also problematic. Yeah, Breloom can put in some work. You still wouldn't have your Brute Bond, though, at this point. So something with decent enough stats you don't really have. So you're going to have to rely on status moves. Norman's Slackings, when they actually hit, are going to just murder whatever they hit, no matter what. So status effects, all that. Unfortunately, you can't even use something like Hex, the Hex combo with Toedscruel, because they're normal types. So, yeah, unfortunately, Norman, you might be able to get past, but it's just not likely. And Winona is another scenario where you just don't have good answers for Winona. Her team is actually very well put together. Liza and Tate, you could get past, no worries. Even Juan or Wallace is no issue. I'd even go so far as say Nate is not the biggest problem in the world. But then you get to, and then Phoebe, because you have Brute Bonnet, you could probably get past. Glacia is a problem. Her water types are also ice types is a problem. And then Drake is just a complete wall. There's no getting past that. Even with a fairy, he's going to completely roast that thing quick. So no one Hoenn. honestly, I'm going to be honest, straight out honest. Rorik is still going to be a problem just because he's got 3 Mon and that Craniodose is powerful. So you need to be spamming your, your healing moves, like absorb whatever you have on call at that point as much as you can. Gardenia is also going to be a bit of a problem. Her team is around the high teens, low 20s. So your chances are these still aren't fully evolved at that point. Your best bet is to rely on things like poison move, but then Roserade's not going to be able to be poisoned, and it can poison. So you might just be stopped at Gardenia. If you can get past Gardenia, you actually should have a clear shot throughout most of the early region. Maylene or Fantina, depending which one you fight first. Honestly, you could probably beat either of them. It'd be difficult, but again, Fairy, Bug, and a fighting Breloom. 2 Mon that resist her Maylene's types, and Breloom is just a solid Pokemon. Crasher Wake shouldn't be an issue. By Gym 5, whether it is Maylene or Fantina, depending which version you're using, you now have all 5 of these Mon as well. You're really not going to be struggling until you get to Byron, and even then, that steel typing you can get past if you really have to with Breloom, and Brute Bonnet alone should also be able to handle them because just pretty powerful Pokemon. Slow, but powerful. It's when you get to Candace that, yeah, Breloom can only do so much, especially if you're playing, say, Platinum, and she's got her Frostlass. If that's the case, you got nothing on the team that can handle it, save for Toadstool using a Hex, and that's assuming it doesn't go down. It's ×4 weak to Ice. So you might just be walled at Candace. If you did manage to get past Candace, and this is all assuming you can get past Gardenia, which I don't think you can. Voctor should actually not be that terrible. You resist all the electric moves. Hell, one of your Mon is immune to them. Aaron is a problem for this team because Bug is still a problematic type for this team. While only half the team is weak to Bug, half the team is still weak to Bug, and it's 3 of your strongest Mon. Your Amoonguss, your Brute Bonnet, which is pretty much your ace, and your Toadstool are all weak to Bug. And not to mention, she also has a Drapion on the team, which can lay waste to the vast majority of the rest of this team. So, or he has Aeron, I should say. It's Aeron. Drapion. I would say Aaron is probably where you stop. You hypothetically, if past that you could get past Bertha, then you're kind of stuck walled at Flint. It's like every other one you could get past, then you get walled. Get past, get walled. And then Cynthia, there's no way you could beat Cynthia. Just no way. So Unova, in black and just in the original Black White, you actually, quite frankly, aren't really going to have an issue until Skyla. You can get past the elemental monkeys, I think, without too much difficulty. Unless it's Chillin', in which case that one you might not be able to get past. But yeah, you should still be able to get past them. You should be able to get past Lenora, although it'd be a little difficult. You should be able to get past Berg. Even again, Bug versus Grass. But that's a weird one, but you resist Bug on every one of those team members. So there you go. Even someone like Elisa and Clay, you should be able to get past them. It's once you get the Skylo with flying types that you're going to run into a problem. I don't think it's the end of the line, but it's still going to be difficult. Same with I can never remember the Ice gym leader's name. I always thought his name was Byron, but I can't remember what his name is. He's the actor. But the point is, yeah, that one you got no good answer except Breloom, and Breloom might not last throughout the entire fight. And then you'd be stopped at Drayden because you have no answer for Dragon save one Schnotic, and that thing is not going to make it through the end of that fight. Let's be real. Or Iris, I should say. So, yeah. And then, conversely, if you do Black and White 2, you're immediately going to have a problem with Roxy. Because she's a poison gym leader, second there, and your Mon would not be fully evolved. So, yeah, Roxy, I think, kind of just stops the team right there. Then, same issue as before, Skylar and Drayden again. If for some reason you somehow manage all the way to get to the champions, you'd be done at those champions. Alder's team already is just composed half of bug types, which is a huge problem. And the Volcarona would roast the entire team. Conversely, Iris's champion team has a Lapras, which is an ice type, which can take care of everything on this team. Has 3 overpowered SF Dragon types on the team, except for the Druddigon. That Druddigon's not overly powerful. But you have an Aggron on the team, which you have like one answer for. Is it one? No, you have 2 answers for. You have 2 answers for it, hypothetically. You got to deal with the Archeops. You got to deal with the Haxorus. The Archeops being a flying type as well. So it's just not, you can never become champion Unova with this team. In Kalos, honestly, Karina's where you're actually going to struggle with first. You should be able to handle Viola and even Grant, because both you'll have fully evolved mod in that team. One is a fairies, a Tyrant doesn't mean shit. Aurora's, though, would be problematic, but you should still be able to manage. Karina's Halucha outspeeds everything on this team, and it has Flying Press, which is a dual-type move. Now, granted, all your 3 starter mod which you'd have would resist fighting, save for Breloom, which means Breloom's probably going down in one shot. But that's still a mod that's outspeeding a lot and doing a lot of damage. I don't think you can beat her. But even if you did, you'd still then have to deal with Wolfrin later on. And you have no strength against ice in this team. The only thing you got going is that Breloom, which can only do so much. And then you still got to deal with a Fire-type Elite Four member, a Dragon-type Elite Four member, a Steel-type Elite Four member, and then the champion, whose team is balanced enough that Shinotic is going down fast, which means her 2 dragons she has available are going to pretty much cleave through the rest of this team. So yeah, no, not a good place for it. Galar, you're going to be stopped at Kofu. Kafu. Is it Kafu or Kofu? I think it's Kafu. The fire type gym leader. Just because, again, same song and dance. No resistances. Add on to the fact that, I believe he has an Arcanine, Ninetales, and his Gigantamax Centiskorch. And you're in for a world of hurt, quite frankly. Beyond that, though, you could probably manage the rest of the gyms if you somehow got past him. Because you can probably get past Milo. You definitely get past Nessa. He's probably where I think you stop. But if you did get past, you would then probably stop at Raihan, who, despite having Ground and Dragon, also has Ground and Dragon. So, and unfortunately, except for Brute Bonnet, nothing here has really got the physical stats, or even special stats, really, to one-hit KO a ground type at that level, his Sandaconda or his Rock Gigalith. Except for maybe Breloom against Gigalith, nothing here really has what it takes. And most of the time, his mon are still moving first. And he's got a Flygon, and he's got that damn Duraludon. That Duraludon is where you really are kind of screwed. And even if you got past there, you're not getting past Leon. Like I keep saying, that Dragapult is a team sweeper. It has Flamethrower, and it's faster than everything on this team. Some of them combined. So, actually, that is a very good question. Dragapult, I believe, has like a 140 speed stat, if I'm not mistaken. And I know, things like Parasect, Amoonguss, even Brute Bonnet do not have the best speed stats. So you could actually say he's, let me see here, Dragapult, hold on. Dragapult, what is Dragapult's speed stat? Well, find out today on Jeopardy. Okay, there we go. Dragapult, there we go. Come on, stop doing the thingy. There we go. Stop it. Stop moving. There we go. Okay, no, I didn't have to do that. Yeah, no, Dragapult has a 142 base speed. Let me just quickly check the speed stats on all the Mushroom Mon I got here. And see how fast he is compared to the rest of it. So, Parasect has 30 speed. Okay. Not a good start, but maybe we can pick this up. Maybe we can Breloom has 70 speed. Okay. All right, we're getting there. We're starting to kick off a little bit here. All right, cool. Amoonguss has 30 speed. That's 130. Okay, we're at 130. Then there's Shinotic, who has 30 speed. Oh man. Who else did I have on here? Toadscroll, who I think is arguably the faster. Oh, Toadscroll actually has 100 speed. Hold on right there. He's got 100. He is a fast little mushroom. and then Brute Bonnet, who has 55. That Dragapult with Flamethrower is faster than everything on the team, and if you were to really add things up very quickly, is faster, no joke, than 3 Mon combined on this team. Almost 4. So there's no way on God's green earth you get past Leon. Finally, there's Galar, or Paldea, sorry. And honestly, in Paldea, you might just be stuck at Katie, because even though you resist Bug with the Fairy type, you're 1 Morlul against at least 3 Mon on her team. A couple of them can actually deliver a pretty powerful attack, too. By some miracle, if you get past that, you actually would have a pretty free run throughout the majority of the region. Brassius, you're both grass types, should not be that big of a problem, and Bug would resist. Even Iono, actually, in this case, is not that big of an issue. You would actually be able to hit the point of fully evolved with all 3 of these, Breloom, Parasect, and Shiinotic, respectively, and they resist electricity. So that's actually one of the times where Iono is not a problem. Everyone else, though, is it Kafu or Kobu? Because there's Kobu or one's Kafu, one's Kobu. One's the fire from Galar, one's the water from Paldea. Anyway, the water-type Gym Leer should have no problem. Larry even shouldn't be that big of a problem, nor should Tulip, nor should even Rhyme. Grusha is going to be a problem, though. Their ice types are still powerful enough that they could possibly take out the majority of this team, if not all of it. If by a miracle you got past them, though, you would basically be stopped at Poppy. And if just because you have one fighting type that can do something against Steel, that's it. If that Breloom goes down, you have no. I mean, yeah, Brute Bonnet can know some good fighting type moves too, or dark type moves too. But frankly, if we're being honest, I don't see it being very possible that you could get past Poppy, just because of the sheer defensive capabilities of our team, and then the offensive opposite side. If by a miracle you did, though, then you're completely stopped at Larry's flying team. Steel is not a weakness of the team, it's just you're not good against Steel. Flying is a direct weakness. So, there you go. So, unfortunately, yeah, you're not going to be champion with this team, ever, period. End of story. That's all she wrote. But then again, not every team you need to be champion with, I suppose. That being said, that's my thoughts on her team. Let me know what you think. Did you like this? Did you hate it? What would you do differently if you did the team? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. I'll see you